Hey guys, Nishquick here, and there have been rumors going around about a February Nintendo Direct happening even before the highly anticipated April 2nd Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And I wanted to ask this question and get this video out before that February Direct comes out because I really gotta ask you guys, and we gotta talk about this. Where the heck is the Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War or Fire Emblem 4 Remake? Honestly, as far as I can remember, this game has been rumored, and I want to talk about when we can possibly see this game and what's possibly been going on with it before it is possibly, maybe, and hopefully finally announced at this February Direct. So if you guys enjoy Fire Emblem, JRPGs, Nintendo games, and are excited to potentially play a remake of Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, give this video a like and subscribe for more content like this. And I'm gonna let you guys know this right now. This is a very tall task and a very big challenge for me, but I want to try to hit 3,000 subscribers maybe even before the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out this year. We don't know when it's coming out. It is rumored to be maybe around May or June, but let's try to hit 3,000. I don't know if we can do it, but I really think it is possible for us to do that. So that's the challenge I'm going to set for myself this year, and let's see how far we get. Anyways, let's talk about Fire Emblem 4 Genealogy of the Holy War. So first of all, I want to talk about where we will be playing this game, because a lot of people are saying, oh, Nishquick, we haven't seen Fire Emblem Genealogy because we are going to see it on the Switch 2. They've moved the project over to Switch 2, and I don't really agree with that. This is most probably going to be a Switch 1 game, and they're not really going to move this over to the Switch 2 in my opinion. First of all, when you look at releasing a JRPG on the Nintendo Switch versus releasing a JRPG on the Nintendo Switch 2, which will be still very relatively new in its first year on the market, you're obviously going to want to release a little bit more of a niche JRPG, a remake of an older game. You would want to release that game on the system that has a 150 plus million install base that is consistently and continuously growing every single day. The Nintendo Switch 2 sales have not completely flatlined. They've slowed down quite a bit, but think about maybe the first 3, 4, 5 months of the Switch 2. I heard reports that Nintendo is projecting to sell about 20 million units of the Switch 2, which is quite a bit, but again, think about it. Imagine if they sell out all their stock. Still, an install base of 20 million versus an install base of 140 to 150 million people. You're obviously going to want to have your sort of niche RPG series release on the system with a much bigger install base. And you guys might be saying, oh, well, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Fire Emblem Warriors, those came out on the Nintendo Switch. But yeah, for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that came at the very end of 2017 when the Nintendo Switch had some time to sell and get a little bit of an audience going. As for Fire Emblem Warriors, that game was a little bit easier to get into, I think, a little bit lower of a barrier for entry, and it was sort of like a side game, so it doesn't really matter that much. I still think it is highly advisable that Genealogy releases on the Switch 1, and I don't think it is going to be a Switch 2 version. Another reason why is I don't think this game truly will need the power of the Switch 2. The game is going to be pretty big. Many people have said that Genealogy of the Holy War has some very massive maps with a very just humongous scope and size to it. And yeah, that totally makes sense. But I don't really think that this game is going to be bottlenecked on the Switch, because Intelligent Systems, Koei Tecmo, and the developers of these Fire Emblem games have really gotten a hang of how to develop for this system and develop for the Nintendo Switch console. And just everyone at Nintendo, everyone developing for Nintendo Switch, except for Game Freak really, has really gotten a hang of how to push the system to its limits. So I don't really see how a game like Genealogy of the Holy War will be really bottlenecked by the Switch. and of course it'll look and run better on the Switch 2 probably, but it's not necessarily a game that's going to need to transition from a Switch 1 version to a Switch 2 version. And another reason why I think we'll see it on the Switch 1 is because of a prior example, and that is Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia. If you guys remember, that game was actually announced in January 2017. And January 2017 was 3 months after the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 1. So the Switch was announced, revealed, and I think even the January Direct presentation even happened. Don't quote me on that, but regardless, Shadows of Valentia was revealed and announced around the same time of the really big Nintendo Switch 1 hype with the Direct and the reveal and the lead up to the console. Like, I remember a lot of people saying like, hey, why doesn't this game just come over to the Switch 1? Why doesn't this game just come over to the Nintendo Switch? Well, obviously for Shadows of Valentia, it was developed entirely exclusively for the 3DS, and that just wasn't in their plans to begin with. But my point is, it's not out of the realm of possibility for a Fire Emblem remake to be announced after the reveal of a next generation console. And it just makes sense for them to have it as one of the final kind of remaster remakes to be released before moving on entirely to the Nintendo Switch 2. Because this February Direct, where I think that this game is going to be announced, is going to be filled with many remasters, remakes, and other games like that, just to tide us over throughout this year until we wait for more heavy-hitting Nintendo Switch 2 content. Alright, so now I want to talk about some of the rumors and leaks surrounding this idea of a Fire Emblem 4 remake, because that's sort of where the idea of this game sprung out from, and how a lot of people expected this game to have been announced and revealed by this time already. So the most prominent people who have been corroborating this and been talking about this are leakers such as Emily Rogers, Nate the Hate, and this one poster on Reddit who provided a lot of leaks for Fire Emblem Engage. And they also corroborated that a Genealogy of the Holy War remake exists. When it comes to Nate the Hate, I listen to his podcast a lot and I always catch up on his Nintendo Switch episodes. And I remember he has been talking about the existence of a Fire Emblem 4 remake for as long as I can remember, as far back as like 2022. He's been saying that there is a Fire Emblem 4 remake happening and it's going to be coming out sometime whenever. And that's why a lot of us think that this game is just finished and they're just sitting on it. They're just waiting for a perfect time to just put this game out when they have a dry couple of months when they want to like bide the time over until some Switch 2 games are released. In Nate the Hate's January episode, he did mention Fire Emblem 4 remake once again. And even in some of his episodes last year, he was questioning, hey Nintendo, why haven't you announced this already? Because Nintendo does love to sit on already finished games. Like Fire Emblem Engage is a perfect example. Many of us expected that game to have come out during the anniversary time for Fire Emblem, like around 2020 or 2021. So they're just probably just polishing it up and making sure that it was as perfect as it can be, and then released it way later in early 2023. And that's the same thing with Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom was content complete in like 2022. They just kept it for another year just to polish out some of the physics. And even Metroid Prime Remastered, released in 2023, but I remember some people were saying that that game was content complete and basically waiting to be released since 2021. So my prediction for the release of Fire Emblem 4 Remake would probably be this May, and I think that would be a good time because we don't really know anything releasing around then, and the Switch 2 would probably release a month or two after that, I'm assuming. And regarding the other remakes, so Emily Rogers, who I mentioned earlier, was more active during the time of the NX and like the early Nintendo Switch 1 era, but back in 2022, she gave us a lot of details on what Fire Emblem Engage would be, and she was saying that it's a 30th anniversary game. She gave us a description of what Alear would look like, and said that the game had been finished for over a year now. And along with that, I think she did mention that there's a Fire Emblem 4 remake happening, but the person who very evidently pointed out that there is a Fire Emblem 4 remake happening was this person on Reddit by the name of Myas Madelta, I think is their name. So they not only corroborated Emily Rogers' statements, but they provided a lot of like images that were later revealed to be obviously real pictures of Fire Emblem Engage, which were posted like way in advance. And then they also said this, they said, "I can confirm that this is a brand new Fire Emblem game and it has been completed for quite some time now. I'm not sure what the delay has been in announcing it. Interestingly, some aspects of it seem to be reused from the cancelled Wii Fire Emblem game. Additionally, the rumors of a Fire Emblem 4 remake are real as well." Many people aren't taking this as seriously because many people are saying that, oh, maybe this leaker just saw pictures of Emblem Sigurd and assumed that that was part of the Fire Emblem 4 remake and they got completely mixed up with Engage. In my opinion, well, if this person had seen pictures of Engage and then seen pictures of Genealogy of the Holy War, which I'm assuming would have an entirely completely different art style, I don't think they would be confusing those two games. And if they did see Fire Emblem 4 Remake, and I'm assuming that the game will have an entirely unique and a different art style, then they probably understood that what they were looking at was a remake of Fire Emblem 4 in a completely new game. So yeah, the same leak that did show the existence of Engage also did mention the Fire Emblem 4 remake being real, and this is the one that a lot of people are pointing to make a case towards Fire Emblem 4 remake being a real game. Another thing is a lot of people are saying how Sigurd is very prominently present in Fire Emblem Engage and how he's one of the earliest emblems you get and he's very highly important to the story in some ways, and that could be one slight hint to fans to say like, hey, look out for this guy, he is going to be important in future games. So that's another thing, but here is one more piece of evidence, sort of like a rumor pointing towards a possible Fire Emblem 4 remake. But so for a long time now, Fire Emblem games have been codenaming their projects Iron and whatever number they are in the release order for Fire Emblem games. So for example, Fire Emblem Awakening was Iron 14, Shadows of Lentia was Iron 16, Three Houses was Iron 17, and Engage was Iron 19. If you look at this graphic over here, there's no Iron 13 or no FE 13 labeled here, and I think that's because that's a cancelled Wii game that they had in production, and they just ended up cancelling it and moving on to Fire Emblem Awakening, which is Iron 14. But if you notice here, there is a gap between Iron 17 and Iron 19, between Three Houses and Fire Emblem Engage. So that's why a lot of us think that Genealogy could be Iron 18 and they're probably just sitting on it. For what reason they're sitting on it, we do not know. Maybe they had some development struggles, maybe they did move it on to the Switch too, even though I said before that I don't really believe that. That is certainly a possibility, but there is a glaring gap between Three Houses and Engage in the code names over here, and that could very well be pointing to a potential Fire Emblem 4 remake that was supposed to release in between those two titles, and is still possibly coming out. We don't know, we'll see. And before we continue, I just wanted to let you guys know, if you guys are still watching this video, shoutouts to you, I really appreciate it, but don't forget to give this video a like, because I want a lot of Fire Emblem fans to see this video, and giving this video a like will help them get their eyes on this video, and I want to know what all you Fire Emblem fans think of what I have to say in this video, so let me know in the comments below. Are you expecting a Fire Emblem 4 remake? Is it even real? Was it all in our imagination, and is it ever coming out? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you enjoy Fire Emblem content. So finally, I want to end this video with why we need this remake, why I'm really hoping we do get to see Fire Emblem 4 Genealogy the Holy War get a remake. And you guys might know, I've been very picky when it comes to video game remakes recently. There have been times where I'm like, do we even need these remakes? Do we need this game to be remade? Like, I have a lot of these thoughts and like kind of questions in my mind relating to some games from like Square Enix and why some companies aren't prioritizing certain remakes and prioritizing others, like Xenogears versus something like Final Fantasy IX and Ocarina of Time. But I want this game to be prioritized as a remake, and there's many reasons as to why. The first and foremost is this game never came out in the West. this was only a Japanese game, and it was only on the Super Famicom in Japan. And it has been released on like the Japan Virtual Console and Japan NSO, but we've never gotten an official Western release of this game, and not even like how we got it for the original Shadow Dragon in 2020. No official Western release of this game, no English release of this game. Of course, there's fan mods, there's ROM hacks, but you want the official thing from Nintendo, don't you? You want to support the official thing from Nintendo. And if this game is remade with a whole new coat of paint, new art style, enhanced gameplay mechanics, sort of like the whole giant facelift they did with Shadows of Valentia, and this game will almost feel like an entirely new Fire Emblem game for us here in the West, because many people here just have not played the game, and it's going to be like a modern take on this classic SNES style Fire Emblem. So that's going to be a very exciting way to play this game, and if this game exists and if it releases this year, it'll still be sort of like we're getting a whole new Fire Emblem game. It won't even feel like a remake, honestly. And speaking of Shadows of Valentia, I think that is the second Fire Emblem game, and then the third Fire Emblem game, which was like the new Mystery of the Emblem, already got a remake on the DS. So Fire Emblem 1, 2, and 3 all have remakes. So the next game in line is Fire Emblem 4 Genealogy of the Holy War. So it's next in line for the remake treatment. And I know a lot of people are longing and hoping for a more grounded and more serious Fire Emblem story like Three Houses had. I know a lot of new people hopped on board to the Fire Emblem series after Three Houses, and when Engage came out and it was a very massive departure from Three Houses, many people just didn't like it and they didn't vibe with it. I hopped on board Fire Emblem during the time of Awakening, and even though I didn't really dislike Engage that much, I actually kind of enjoyed it in most ways. But even though I feel that way, even though Engage's story wasn't like super offensive to me, I would really welcome a dark, gritty, and more grounded and serious story like Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War has, because a lot of people have said that FE4 is one of the most serious and most emotional stories in the series, and I really like that about Three Houses. And even though Awakening was kind of like a mix of serious and lighthearted, and it was a little bit of everything, I still really like that side of Fire Emblem, and I would love to see what FE4 has up its sleeve in terms of story, characters, plot twists, and all that. And one other reason why we need this remake, and I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy it, is because Fire Emblem 4 introduced so many qualities and elements and mechanics and series staples to the Fire Emblem series that are now present in so many games. Like, it supposedly introduced marriage and child units. It introduced much larger maps, and that's also something that's very unique to Fire Emblem 4, because these maps are just so gigantic, it'll take you like a very long time to just complete one. That's what makes this game so unique. It also, I think, was the first to introduce sort of like a barracks system and really enhanced on the supports with your characters. And it also, I don't really know about this because I don't want to spoil myself on the game too much, but I think this game also does have a time skip as well. So it was the first game to introduce that kind of time skip before Awakening and Three Houses introduced it as well. So what do you guys think? Are you interested in seeing a remake of Fire Emblem 4 Genealogy of the Holy War? Do you think we'll see this anytime soon? Do you think we'll see this at this rumored February Nintendo Direct? And what do you think about all these leaks and rumors that I talked about in this video? Like, you guys know I don't usually talk about leaks and rumors on this channel, but I wanted to kind of bring those into this discussion because a lot of that plays into the possibility of this game even being real. And yeah, if you guys are excited for this game, if you enjoy Fire Emblem, give this video a like and subscribe for more content like this. Remember, I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers before the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. We'll see how that goes, but anyways, this is Nishquick signing off. Have a great day. Go play some great games today, like a Fire Emblem game on the Nintendo Switch. You got a lot of them to play around with before FE4 comes out. I'll see you guys in the next one later. Hey guys, this is Nishquick. Thank you so much for watching that video. And if you enjoyed it, check out these two videos on the left and maybe subscribe if you haven't on your way out. And big shout out to all my channel members whose names you can see on the screen right now. I'll see you guys in the next video later.